Hello everyone, I am Rahul. I'm the channel manager for TurnKey Lender for the Asia Pacific region, and very happy that you joined us today for a session on innovation in lending and how earned wages is really leading the path for that. And today we have just a brilliant speaker, or co-founder, an entrepreneur who we're going to be speaking to today. And he is just to give you a quick introduction. It's Mr. Ali Ladhubhai. He's an ex-banker who's held many managerial roles in retail banking, wealth management with HSBC and Sapa Bank in Pakistan. He also co-founded Kar Local Pair, which is a financial services aggregator helping the largest financial institutions and banks and insurance companies in Pakistan to distribute their consumer finance products digitally. And then he subsequently moved to Sony Pay, which is an accounts aggregator and payments company, where he was leading the business development efforts. And today he is the Chief Operating Officer for Abhi, which is EWA company. So welcome, Ali, to the call today. Thank you for joining us.
Rahul, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Right. So just, as we kick this off, I did introduce, your professional side of things. Would love to kind of know, like, tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, where you're based now, and what are you doing these days?
Okay, so I was born and bred up in Pakistan, so I spent most of my life here, and essentially went abroad to the UK for my studies, and then had the opportunity to see the various innovative products, especially in the fintech space, working in the UK. So once I came back, had started my career with a couple of banks to just get a flavor of the Pakistani banking market. And I think that sort of became the bedrock for my future endeavors, where I understood the Pakistani, customer, their needs and wants, and based on that, decided to go on to the entrepreneurial journey post HSBC deciding to shut its operations in Pakistan. As you covered correctly, I co-founded a financial aggregation website called Karlo Compare, and ran that for just over 4 years, essentially digitally distributing consumer finance products for banks and insurance companies. That is where sort of I was able to narrow down on the class of customer that we wanted to service, and from a standpoint saw their needs and what was not essentially being fulfilled by the current financial institutions. So decided to gear up and work with my co-founder Umair, who's also an ex-banker, to try and launch earned wage access in Pakistan. The journey started in March of 2021, so it's just been over a year, and essentially, it's been a good one at that. We are servicing just over 250 companies now, with over 100,000 active customers and over 500 to 600,000 people on the system. So that's sort of me in a nutshell.
That's really impressive, and congratulations on the funding round as well. That was a massive news that came in. The Series A with 17 million, that too in a market like Pakistan. You're one of the leading fintechs to have raised that. So tell us more about kind of that journey. It's a 90 million valuation there, and also I think I don't think a lot of people know this new model of earned wages advance. So if you can just kind of explain what is this organization all about? What is that need that you're trying to fulfill?
So the product actually stems from a physical problem that we decided to solve, which was that in Pakistan, not a lot of people have access to financial services, and in the interim are using their employers as a go-to institution to bridge any financial strains that they're getting in their normal day-to-day lives. and we decided to automate that by providing the employee an ability to draw down their earned wages or accrued wages instantly in any bank account or wallet in the country. So solving a manual pain point, and having them bridge any emergency funds that they may need during the middle of the month. So we started off, it was a new concept, there's nobody else doing it here in Pakistan. So just going out to the market to essentially explain to people how the product is of benefit to both the employee and the employer, because it takes away the hassle of processing multiple requests in the day, and going through the various approval processes. And then for the employee, obviously, the ability and access to instant credit was something that was a game changer for those who decided to come on early on. And then since there, I think the market is now starting to really accept this as a benefits program for the employee base. So we're now being reached out by various organizations to be able to provide this to them. So we work on a B2B2C model, which means that the organization essentially assists us in providing this service to their employee base. So it's not an open product just yet. We partner up with organizations to be able to provide their employees this service. As far as the funding round is concerned, so we put our heads down, worked very hard to sort of have the product penetrate to the companies that we are now servicing. And I think a lot of the investors saw the value in what we were doing from a financial inclusion standpoint. And I think that is where the crux of our valuation lies, that we are now serving those who are underserved and also unserved from a financial inclusion standpoint. So we were able to do, we've essentially done 2 rounds now. The first one was a seed round, which was backed by some very notable investors. And thereafter, based on the trajectory that we got, we've now expanded our investor base and have some very professional and seasoned VCs backing us to be able to carry out what we're doing.
Right. And if we just kind of deep dive a little more into it, so it's a employee benefit for an employer to onboard, but actually it's a financial service for
Mm-hmm.
that's being provided for the underserved. Is it treated as a loan, a credit, or is it like really what I have worked for, I should get paid? What is the offering for the employee here?
So it is essentially earned wage access, which means that so we provide 50% of your earned wages till the day that you are requesting the funds. So our basically system calculates what your total salary is, and based on that, what is due to you. So your salary essentially, or the amount available to you, keeps on increasing as you get closer to your date of salary or your next payroll date. So it is earned wages typically, but as far as we are concerned, the funds are actually not going from the organization, but rather it's being fronted by Abhi that charges a minimal service fee for the employee to be able to access this. So it's not essentially their salary, but the calculation is based on earned wage access. So it's basically credit provided by Abhi.
And this is also, from at least my basic understanding of it, is also to avoid these employees who are in dire need to go in for like very unsavory rates and to go into, kind of getting sharp financing. So take us through like how big this market is and, kind of how do you aim to kind of really move through it and what's the overall size of this? Is it just Pakistan, or do you want to do this in the region as well?
So a couple of things, right? So essentially, a
Yeah.
customer before we actually came in had 2 or 3 ways, because conventional banks were not serving them because these were people who were low down in the food chain, and did not have any credit rating or so forth available for them. So, and these were sort of more minimal wage workers, daily wage workers. So, their access to credit was threefold. The first one was either they go to the employer, but that took a couple of days for it to get approved, going through the various tiers of bureaucracy to get it approved from the management. The second is where they were accessing, funds or emergency funds through their friends and family. But if you continue to do that, friends and family essentially don't stay friends and family for very long. So, and then the
Oh my
third
God,
one
agreed.
was, yeah. And then the third was if it was a very dire situation, people were going to loan sharks to provide them this funds, but and then getting stuck in the cycle. So what we provided was a Sharia compliant product where customers were basically accessing their wages, earned wages, for a minimal per transaction fee. And I think, and also the instantness of the product itself was actually the key to our success, which sort of resonates in our name, which is Abhi, which means now in Urdu. So, I think that's where the exciting value for the customer actually came in. Market, by estimates, salary dispersed in the country on a monthly basis ranges between 6 and 9 billion dollars, depending on what source you're looking at. We think it's 9 billion. So that's the market that we can address. Just over 60 million employed individuals who we can tap into. So we've just serviced the tip of the iceberg, and there's an open sea. So we are coming in with new product lines for us to be able to sort of move in a more efficient manner and cover ground much faster. The aspiration is very much regional, so we are exploring expansion in the UAE and Bangladesh for now, and then try and cover up the larger Middle East region, moving on to Central Asia. So there are aspirations, but obviously we do believe that we need to set our feet in the ground firmly before we look to jump on to the next assignment and market.
This is brilliant and also a lovely name, right? Like I love the term Abhi, which is like, immediate in Urdu. Get it now, kind of, but so locally resonating. Um, so in this process, and it's just been under 18 months, right? Since you said you started in March 2021, you've kind of really grown the business to 50 companies. That's, I think, quite a feat with 100,000 active customers. So just, I'm sure there are some interesting customer stories or employer stories, right? Of impact. So maybe if it's worth something interesting that came out that you'd like to
Yes,
share.
yes, I think
That
that
boosts
is
the
what
team, that always boosts the team with the morale to say, this is something awesome we're doing.
Yeah, so I think there is so whatever we do, there is an underlying double bottom line, which is impact as well, and we as Abhi take this very seriously. And as soon as we started, there's a rain season in Pakistan, and there's a gentleman who had gone back to his village. It rained very heavily, and hence the roof of his house had started to drip. Through Abhi, he was able to access his funds right away and get his house roof fixed. And he actually made he made the effort to actually making a call to us saying, you have charged me something for the service, but if you look at the comparison, I would have in a normal circumstance had to come all the way back to my work city, which is over 1,000 kilometers away, get the relevant approval, and then go back and get it fixed. Now that I'm here, I was able to get all of that done in a couple of clicks on an application. So I think that was really heartwarming. There are some stories that we have put on board on our various social media pages for those who want to look at it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it's in the local language, is Urdu. So the audience, those who do understand Hindi or Urdu, will be able to sort of understand it well. But there's another story. There's a gentleman who did not have money to actually pay his son's school fee, which was basically so the equivalent of O levels, final year. And if he would have not paid in time, his son would have missed a whole year. So he was very happy that he was able to access that fund through Abhi and make that payment. So various people have come back with very interesting use cases of how the application has helped them at various times. We've had instances where people have had medical emergencies, 2 o'clock in the morning, not having access to funds in their account and using Abhi to be able to get through that. To transportation matters, for example, a gentleman riding a bike, tires gotten punctured, didn't have the money to pay for it, used Abhi to actually pull out the money and get to his destination. So small use cases, but very sort of heartwarming to see how we have been able to touch lives in a more positive manner.
That's fantastic. And also, I mean, I'm curious to know, since this started in March 2021, what was the inspiration? Is it like this is happening in the West, let's bring it to Pakistan? Where did you pick this up from? Or is just local nuance that you realize that, okay, there's a massive market, no one is doing this?
So, two things, right? I think it was a joint decision between me and my co-founder. He was abroad at the time in New York working for Morgan Stanley, and he was looking at the Pakistan market and seeing that countries all around Pakistan were, there were startups that were doing really well, and there was nothing really happening in Pakistan. So he and me sort of got talking, and I had seen the opportunity because of my banking experience, and then distribution of consumer finance products. So I'd seen that the segment is very underserved. So I think that's where the inspiration actually came in. We decided, okay, here's a problem, a manual problem that we could solve and really have a larger impact. So with inflation and so forth, also on the high in the past couple of months, it just looked like the right product to actually roll out as our first product in.
And you brought up inflation. It's actually something I was going to ask you, right, as to how that piece is helped. But also, we went through quite a tumultuous period with COVID. A lot of businesses actually shut down in that period. And so, is there ancillary services that you would be providing these businesses to kind of, move out of the slum? How do you see that? How do you see that COVID playing in? So take us through that, like how that was. Uh, did it aid the business or was it tough? How do you get out of that slum? And second, just what are the ancillary services around this that could be bundled?
Okay, so I think we sort of came in at the tail end of COVID, where the world was getting back into healing from it to a large extent. However, I think it came at the right time with regards to the fact that in Pakistan there's major lockdowns and so forth. So a lot of businesses tried their level best to retain their employees and pay them their salaries in the COVID period to make sure that people are not sort of severely affected, and that actually ate up their working capital. So there was a shrink there essentially, and I think when we came in, these businesses was now starting to recover and had a gap in their payables and receivable cycles. So the product did resonate with them. Also, earned wage access. People understood how difficult it would have essentially been to operate given if another wave of shutdowns would have come about. So I think COVID did help us in sort of the adoption side of things. And then, based on the various discussions with organizations, we increased our product line. So at the moment, we do a couple of things. EWA or earned wage access was our first product. We quickly moved into payroll financing, payroll processing, and then invoice factoring. So, try and bridge the gap between receivables and payables, and therefore make the business process for the various businesses that are working with us a lot more smoother. So now we've really sort of become an integral part of the lifestyle or the business lifestyle for the businesses that we're working with.
That's fantastic, right? Like from a really like this is where I see the innovation that's brilliant. It's like you kind of starting out from an HR benefit and then kind of becoming an integral part of the kind of ecosystem of that SME. So do you think this kind of service is for like a kind of a manufacturing company or large amounts of employers at kind of lower salaries, or it also works for like a a fan type company, right? Should it not be available to everyone? Like I should be able to do this as well. So what's your thought now that you've onboarded so many employers?
Yeah, so I think this is the new phenomenon when it comes to fintech. There's been a lot of discussion around what's going to be the most sustainable model, whether it will be BNPL or earned wage access. So, I think there has been a lot of talk around there are benefits of one over the other. But I think, the adoption, at least in the West, has, and from what I hear, a lot of employees are now looking at this and saying, when they're making their decision on joining an organization or whether they have earned wage access as a benefit to them. So I think there is going to be a trickle down in the various regions of the world. And I think in the next decade at the max, this will be something that's going to be very, very normal. I think technology has now enabled employers to be able to do this in a more hassle-free manner, and therefore adoption will be accelerated. So yes, everybody should get it, and based on the data that's actually coming in to us, a lot of people, even from the white collar. And possibly people in senior management as well are using this because the major use case that we sort of wanted to address is the fact that people's payroll cycles usually do not match their payable cycles, which means that your internet bill or your electricity bill may be coming in on the 24th of the month, whereas your salary comes in on the 1st. And there are very large late payment fee that are associated with late payment of these utilities. So therefore, just by virtue of matching these payables and payables, it actually the customer ends up saving more money even though he or she is paying a fee for the service. So it's a net benefit that the customer actually comes out with. So in Pakistan, just to give you some flavor, there is an 8% late payment fee on an electricity bill, which most people, because it's a recurring, will not be going to their employers or friends and family because they need to pay it on a month-on-month basis. So they take the hit of that 8%. Now, essentially, our fee will range between 1.5 and 2%. So therefore, they're making a net benefit of 6% there. Six bills being paid, they save a substantial amount of money by using Abhi as a service. So that's sort of the benefit that customers are now starting to look at, and the usage in the top tier customer is also slowly and gradually increasing. So the idea is we as Abhi, how we look to approach this is creating interesting use cases for various organizations and organizations that we service. For example, there are organizations that are sales driven, and there are incentives that get paid to the employee at the end of the month. Now, as the end of the month approaches, the sales tend to slow down because the employee may not necessarily have money for fuel or have a lot of funds available where they go in and around. So they're using this as an instant payment towards incentivizing their employee base and saying, you've closed this sale, this is available to you, and you keep going. So it actually increases the productivity for that function. So we're slowly and gradually, as we move into the various sectors, are understanding the various use cases and then presenting it to their management in that certain way for them to be able to accept and adopt.
Is there some industry that is kind of was your initial focus and then you moved it to branch to, is it like hospitality or something like that, or was it, how did you
So
segment that piece?
So we really didn't segment it because initially the idea was we picked up 5 companies to do a pilot, and all of those companies were in
Mm.
various different sectors. So we wanted to understand the various pain points in each sector, and that's why we wanted a more diverse kind of pilot as opposed to a single industry focused pilot. And I think that was a good decision on our end because we were able to see how each industry and how each employee working in that specific industry operates. So there are, and based on that, we were able to explain to the management and the employees. So we do a constant go in and meet our customers. We speak to them on a regular basis to be able to see, what they're using the application for, and also explain to them the various use cases they could particularly look to use this for.
Fantastic stuff. I think, just the fact that you guys are so customer centric and that's where everything is kind of driving all the messaging out of is really, really good to hear. You mentioned that there are about 60 million that are, kind of the employed in Pakistan, potentially. So as
Six
you're
zero.
hitting that 60,
Yeah.
right? So as you're hitting that mark and you're hitting scale, right? How does technology come into play? And take us to your journey of building tech versus outsourcing tech versus, kind of saying, how do we get ready for scale?
So I think we built it. We built it all in house. We were very cognizant of the fact that technology is an ever evolving sort of orgasm, and we're constantly, as you rightly identified, we're customer centric, so we make sure that we are speaking to our customers and evolving the product as per the needs of the customer. I think technology is the only way to reach out to the diverse population in Pakistan, that is urban and rural both. So, I think technology and its enablement is key for us to be able to sort of go out and touch the life of an individual to that level. Brick and mortar, I don't think will be able to service because, Pakistan being a country that has, urban and rural populations both. I think, the cost at which the service can be delivered is key, and where brick and mortar cannot go, technology with its enablements will be able to. reach the grassroots.
Fantastic. And as you kind of, just take us through, is it a mobile app? Is it how does someone get onboarded? What happens on the back end of it? You mentioned there's a calculator to this. Just take us through what that journey would look like for an employer or an employee.
So we basically sign up an employer and work with them to get the relevant data for the employee that they would like the service to be extended to. Then obviously there is a very extensive check that needs to go in before an employer is made given the access to this service. We have three channels through which once the customer is onboarded can come and verify themselves and then access their earned wage. So we have our proprietary application. We have SMS, two-way SMS, where the customer can essentially message on a certain short code and go through the various menus to be able to access it. And then lastly is a WhatsApp feature where they can access or similar to the SMS feature, send a request onto a specific short code and basically see their balance and access it to their existing bank account. Obviously, I can't dive in a lot of more details because there's operational matters, but that's sort of the crux of it.
Fantastic. I think just the customer journey is quite clear actually, both from an employee and employer perspective. And that kind of makes it feel very easy to do, like frictionless in my opinion, right? And so there are, of course, different areas. We are working together on developing your solutioning as well. Uh, for someone who's kind of going in that journey, who wants to make a decision on technology, specifically very lending-based technology, what could you recommend? And what was your decisioning criteria while selecting turnkey lender? If you could share a little more on that.
So I think the functionality set that you guys have was something that caught our eye, and the ability to be very flexible to sort of address the various use cases that we brought to you was something that was key at how and the key in the decision making process. I think when it comes to credit and lending, the relevant accounting practices, the relevant ledgers, and so forth are very, very important for you to be able to manage all of that. And I think when we evaluated you against the various other services available in the market, we found you to be a lot more flexible and a lot more versatile uh, and cost efficient. So yeah, that was key.
Yeah, that's good to hear those things. And as we're going into this, just what are the pitfalls as you're building a technology business, right? What are the pitfalls that someone should avoid?
Yeah, I think see, you'll have to go through, every market, every industry has its own challenges. And I think technology definitely does have its own challenges. It's very important, I think, to avoid any pitfalls. There are many, so it becomes difficult for me to list like that. But I think the key is to keep an eye on the ball and to make sure that your security matters and the scalability of your product are things that you think about early on, because it's like a race, right? If you don't tie your shoelaces properly, you'll keep on stopping to be able to sort of tie them up and then run back out. So I think tying that up as far as scalability and security are two things that are most critical from where I look at things. And I think there will be mistakes that will be made, but I think securing your key assets are things that are absolutely necessary, especially in the space that we as Abhi are functioning in, which is fintech.
Fantastic. And I think just you know, just on a last note, just some thoughts that come my way is that especially when you're building this piece around technology scalability, what you want to also look at, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the comfort of different teams working together. Because you can't just do it alone. It's still human. As much as technology is important, that lean, mean, machine that is getting built by humans itself at the end of the day, right? So that plays a critical role in that. You want to find the right kind of groove or mesh with people.
Absolutely. I think technology acts as sort of an augment, but finding the winning team and building the winning team rather is very important. So there are people that will come in, and I think it's a role of the management to keep an eye to see if those that are being hired are the right fit for the organization from a cultural standpoint, from a from the standpoint of their capabilities. And I think making sure that there's a lot of thought that goes into who you hire, especially for an organization that is starting up, because the organization is so lean. It each and every individual that may join the organization is uh, doing the job of very many in a larger organization. And I think giving the right thought process, doing the right screening, getting the right background checks are very important, because it's working like cogs in a machine. And if one cog is not working, especially in a startup, the whole machine tends to slow down. And I think it's very important that getting a perspective in with regards to diversity is also very important. I think we, and especially my co-founder Omer, was very cognizant of this, where having various genders, sort of giving that thought process and opinion towards a problem or solution, gives the management another perspective to think about. And I think that is very important and is a key takeaway when you're building teams.
Yeah, so I think just the last thing that comes to my mind is something different. But if you look at your trajectory, right, and a lot of people might be listening to this who may be trying to found a company in fintech itself. Just what were those three leapfrogs that got you to where you are today? Right, could be from school, could be from the first job, could be from one of the startups that you did. What were those three you feel moments? Could be two, you know.
So key moments or key attributes? What do you want me to speak about? I think key
Just
moments. There are life
leapfrog
changing
moments
events
that
through. And
changed your mindset.
I think see, there are the life. There's always, you need to keep on making decisions, and those decisions sort of take you where you are. So I think let me answer this in two ways, right? The first one was, I think, me going abroad to study and looking at what was happening in a more advanced country. So I think that was one. The other one was my experience with organizations like Samba and HSBC, which were foreign banks. So give me a flavor of how organizations are structured and how they work. And I think the third one was my learnings from the two startups, that one I helped build, and the other one that sort of I worked in. So I think these were the three key sort of moments in my life that brought me to where I am today. And I think that was also a very important aspect when we were having discussions with VCs between me and my co-founder, because I think we had the right sort of uh, experience and skill set to be able to do what we're doing. So I think that's number one. And I think those who are looking to build, there are three, from where I look at it, three key elements when we are building a startup. One is planning, which is make sure that you plan on what you're doing. The second one is where you be very customer centric. So whatever you're doing, you may believe that something may be right, but I think going out to the market and speaking to the audience that you're looking to service may get a very very different perspective for you. So doing a pilot, doing research on it becomes very important. And I think last is resilience. It's not an easy journey. It is an enjoyable journey. These are things that you will remember for the rest of your life. And just the high of actually going out and building something, whether it's successful or not is a different case altogether. But just having a go at it has its own sort of highs, and keeping resilient and knowing keeping at it, I think causes are is something that will give you the best chance to succeed.
Fantastic. Wise words spoken. Just what is your biggest priority right now? If someone needs to reach you, what should they be saying? Like, what's the thing that takes 100% of your time today?
Yeah, I'm looking after the operations. There's constant battles, constant improvements that need to happen. So laser focused on what we're looking to do, and uh, you know, keep on doing what we're doing. I think we've got a mission and a vision to what we look to achieve, and we're laser focused on that. As far as those who may
Fantastic.
want to reach out to me, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I think each person may come in with a different sort of problem, or may need advice on something different. I can help to the best of my ability.
Okay, fantastic. So that's great, Ali. Really appreciate the time and really best of luck with building this EWM business for Pakistan and for the region faster and really lots of good vibes your way. I think from our end, we're more than happy to kind of be part of that journey with you, and of course we support you as much as we want. Uh, and yeah, beyond that, I think if anyone would like to reach Ali, please go on to LinkedIn. Ali is hiring aggressively. So yeah, if you're the right profile and you're in Pakistan or abroad, just reach out. And beyond that, if you're interested in Turnkey Lender, go on to our website, turnkey-lender.com. And yeah, we'll see you in the next session where we talk about innovations in lending. Thanks a lot, Ali, for this session.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you for having me.